You walk into a room and forget why you came in. A familiar name sits on the tip of your tongue, but just won't come. You reread the same sentence twice before it sinks in. It's easy to think, I'm just getting older. This is normal. And yes, some forgetfulness is natural with age. But here's what most people don't realize. There are habits, quiet, everyday habits, that can speed up how fast your brain ages. Not over years, why not, but over months. And you might be doing them without even knowing. The good news? Most of them are changeable. And once you recognize what's harming your brain, you can begin to protect it, gently, simply, and effectively. In this video, we're going to walk through 7 everyday habits that age your brain faster after 65. We're not here to scare you. We're here to help you stay clear, focused, and mentally sharp, well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Because your brain isn't just an organ, it's your memories, your relationships, your identity. And the way you treat it today will shape who you are tomorrow. Let's begin. Habit number 1, not getting enough sleep. It sounds simple, but sleep is not just about rest, it's about repair. And for your brain, it's one of the most powerful forms of self-care. Each night while you sleep, your brain goes to work, organizing memories, clearing waste, resetting the chemical balance that keeps you sharp and stable. But when you don't sleep enough, especially over time, that healing process gets interrupted. You might wake up foggy, feel slower during the day, lose track of details more often than you used to. But here's what's even more important. Chronic sleep deprivation is now linked to faster cognitive decline. People who regularly sleep less than 6 hours a night in their 60s and 70s show a higher risk of dementia, memory loss, and even shrinkage in certain parts of the brain. The scary part? You may not even realize it's happening. You might think, I'm just a light sleeper. I don't need as much sleep as I used to. But the truth is, the brain needs quality sleep at every age, especially as we grow older. Sleep helps clear out a protein called beta amyloid, the very substance that builds up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's. So missing even a few hours here and there doesn't just make you tired. Over time, it can quietly age your brain. The good news? You can improve your sleep at any age. Start by building a routine. Go to bed and wake up at the same time. Limit screens an hour before sleep. Keep your room dark, cool, and quiet. And if you still struggle, talk to your doctor. There may be an underlying reason, because sleep isn't lazy, it's protection. And giving your brain enough of it is one of the smartest things you can do. Let's move on to the second habit. Habit number 2, being socially isolated. You can be alone and still feel fine. But when alone becomes your default, day after day, week after week, something inside the brain begins to change. Humans are wired for connection, not just emotionally, but biologically. And when that connection fades, so does something else: mental sharpness. Studies show that people over 65 who experience regular social isolation are at significantly higher risk for memory decline, slower thinking, and even dementia. In fact, being socially isolated can affect the brain as much as smoking or high blood pressure. Why? Because conversations challenge your memory. Relationships keep your emotions regulated. And being part of something, even something small, reminds your brain that it's still needed, still active, still alive. When you're isolated, your world becomes smaller. There are fewer surprises, fewer stimuli, fewer reasons to stay sharp. One woman once said, "After my husband passed, I didn't talk to anyone for days. I started forgetting things, not because I was grieving, but because I stopped using my mind the way I used to." And she was right. The brain is like a muscle. It needs others to grow. Here's the good news. You don't need dozens of friends or constant activity. Even a few genuine connections can protect your brain for years. Call an old friend. Join a walking group. Say hello to someone at the grocery store. Comment on a video like this one. Connection doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. Because when you speak, listen, laugh, or share, your brain lights up. And every time it lights up, it stays alive a little longer. Let's move on to habit number 3. Habit number 3, skipping mental challenges or simply not learning anything new. It's easy to fall into routine as we get older. Same breakfast, same walk, same news channel, same thoughts. There's comfort in the familiar, but too much sameness can make the brain slow down. You see, your brain thrives on novelty. It wants to solve, to adapt, to stretch. And when we stop giving it new material to work with, it slowly stops working as well. Think of your brain like a garden. Without new seeds, new sun, new water, things start to fade. Studies have shown that people over 65 who continue learning, whether it's reading, taking a class, doing puzzles, or even learning a new app, experience slower memory decline and maintain sharper cognitive abilities. It's not about school. It's about staying curious. One man, age 82, started learning Spanish just to keep up with his grandkids. He said, "It's not easy, but it keeps my mind awake." And that's the key. Mental challenges don't have to be big. Even something as small as switching hands to brush your teeth or memorizing a short poem can activate new neural pathways. Your brain loves puzzles, but if you never give it one, it forgets how to solve. The danger isn't in aging. The danger is in stopping. So ask yourself, when was the last time you learned something new? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Because the moment you stop challenging your brain, it starts preparing to retire. Let's move on to habit number 4. Habit number 4, eating too much sugar or too many processed foods. We often think of brain health as something separate from what's on our plate. But the truth is, your brain eats what you eat. And the more sugar and artificial food you feed it, the more it struggles to stay sharp. Highly processed foods like packaged snacks, sugary drinks, and frozen dinners are often filled with inflammatory ingredients. Over time, this inflammation doesn't just affect your gut or heart, it affects your brain. Studies have shown a clear link between diets high in sugar and processed carbs and a faster decline in memory and focus, especially in adults over 65. Some researchers even call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because of how strongly it's connected to blood sugar issues. And it's not just about sweets. It's also about constant snacking, skipping real meals, and choosing what's convenient over what's nourishing. You might say, "But I've eaten like this my whole life." That may be true, but your brain isn't as resilient as it once was. Now every bite matters more. I once met a woman who started forgetting simple things. Names where she put her glasses. Her doctor didn't just give her medication. He changed her diet. More vegetables, healthy fats, fewer packaged foods. Within a month, she said, "My brain felt like it was waking up again." Of course, food isn't magic, but it is medicine. So here's the habit to break. Stop relying on convenience. Start feeding your brain real, living food. Whole grains, leafy greens, olive oil, blueberries, nuts, water. Every choice counts, because what you eat becomes how you think. Let's move on to habit number 5. Habit number 5, living with constant stress without ever releasing it. We all feel stress. It comes from bills, health worries, family concerns, or even just the pace of the world around us. But when stress becomes a daily companion, when the mind never truly rests, something begins to happen inside the brain. Over time, chronic stress floods your brain with cortisol, a hormone designed to help in short bursts, not long-term battles. Too much cortisol damages brain cells, especially in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. You might notice you're more forgetful. You lose your train of thought mid-sentence. You feel anxious, overwhelmed, even when nothing is wrong in that moment. And the most dangerous part? We get used to it. We normalize stress. We think, that's just life now. But it doesn't have to be. Your brain is sensitive. It needs space. And when your thoughts race constantly, when worries pile up without release, your brain begins to burn out. I once met a retired teacher who said, "I was never afraid of memory loss. I was afraid of losing myself." She started a 10-minute daily breathing routine. Not medication, not a class, just quiet time. Within weeks, she noticed her thoughts clearing, and science supports this. Regular mindfulness, prayer, light journaling, or deep breathing have been shown to reduce cortisol, improve attention, and even grow new brain connections in older adults. So here's the habit to break. Stop carrying everything alone. Talk to someone. Write it down. Let it out. Your brain doesn't need you to be strong all the time. It needs you to feel safe. And sometimes peace is the most powerful medicine of all. Let's move on to habit number 6. Habit number 6, living without movement. It's easy to sit more as we get older. The stairs feel steeper, the weather is colder, and sometimes it just feels safer to stay still. But over time, stillness becomes a habit, and that habit quietly affects your brain more than you realize. You see, movement fuels the mind. Every time you walk, stretch, or move your body, even gently, you send fresh blood and oxygen to the brain. You activate regions responsible for memory, focus, and coordination. And you release chemicals that protect the brain from aging too quickly. Without movement, those systems slow down. Blood flow decreases, neural activity becomes duller, and your risk for memory loss, depression, and even dementia begins to rise. One study found that older adults who walk just 20 to 30 minutes a day have better memory and brain volume than those who stay sedentary, even if they're healthy otherwise. And here's the best part. You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to run or lift weights. You just need to move. A few laps around the kitchen, stretching while watching TV, dancing slowly to your favorite music, or even standing up and sitting back down, 10 times a day. I once knew a woman in her late 70s who started taking 2 short walks a day, just around her garden. She said, "My body feels better, but my mind feels even clearer." And she's not alone, because movement isn't just about strength, it's about keeping your brain awake. So if you've been sitting longer than usual, this might be your sign to get up. Even a few minutes can make a difference. Let's move on to the final habit. Habit number 7, ignoring hearing loss. It starts quietly. You ask people to repeat themselves. You turn the TV up a little louder than before. You start avoiding phone calls because they take too much effort. And slowly, the world becomes less clear. But here's what most people don't realize. Hearing loss doesn't just affect your ears, it affects your brain. When you can't hear well, your brain works overtime trying to fill in the gaps. It strains to make sense of half-heard words and broken sounds. Over time, that strain pulls energy away from other parts of the brain, especially memory and focus. In fact, research shows that untreated hearing loss is strongly linked to cognitive decline. One major study found that older adults with hearing loss were more likely to develop dementia, especially when they didn't use hearing aids. It makes sense. When conversations become difficult, people begin to withdraw. Less talking means less stimulation. Less stimulation means the brain starts to slow down. But here's the hopeful part. Treating hearing loss early can actually help protect your brain. Even something as simple as wearing a hearing aid can reduce the risk of mental decline and help people stay engaged, connected, and sharp. I once met a retired musician who resisted hearing aids for years. He said, "I was embarrassed. I didn't want to feel old." But after finally giving them a try, he said something powerful. "I didn't realize how much I was missing. Not just sounds, but life itself." So if you've noticed you're turning up the volume more often or missing parts of conversations, don't wait. Your hearing might be fading, but your mind doesn't have to follow. Let's take a moment now to reflect on everything we've learned. So now you know, not all brain aging is out of your control. Sometimes it's the quiet daily habits that shape how clear or how cloudy our minds become. Let's take a quick look back. You learned that lack of sleep, isolation, avoiding mental challenges, a poor diet, constant, unchecked stress, a life without movement, and even ignoring hearing loss. All of these can quietly speed up how fast your brain ages, sometimes without you realizing it. But the good news? You can change any of them. Today, gently, one habit at a time. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay curious, to stay connected, to keep moving, to care enough about your mind, to protect it. Because your brain is not just a machine, it's you. It holds your memories, your relationships, your sense of self. and the way you treat it matters more than ever. Now we'd love to hear from you. Which of these 7 habits surprised you the most? Are there any you're working to change right now? And how old are you? Where in the world are you watching from? We read every comment, and your story might just inspire someone else who needs it today. If you found this video helpful, thoughtful, or calming, please consider subscribing. We post new videos every week, designed especially for people who want to age with strength, clarity, and grace. Thank you for spending time with us, and until next time, take care of your mind, because it's the one place you truly live.